Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Greene. Today, I have a very interesting special guest, Skye Waterson from unconventionalorganisation.com, and that is the organization with an S as opposed to a Z. She is an ADHD strategist and the founder of Unconventional Organization, a business helping entrepreneurs turn ADHD into their greatest asset. So, Skye, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It is great to have you. Let's go back in time a little bit. How did you get started? Because I don't think, when you're 7 years old that you say, one day I'm going to be an ADHD entrepreneurial coach when I grow up.
Yeah, no, that was not in the pipeline. Honestly, I started because I was on an academic path. I had a master's, I was starting my PhD, and I needed to find out why I kept burning out every 2 years. Why sometimes I was doing amazing, sometimes I was really struggling. And so I went to my learning center and they said, "We think you have ADHD. We think you should go get tested." That was a huge turning point in my life. I, had access to all the research, luckily. So I started learning about it, teaching about it as I was doing. And along the way, I built a business, and now my passion is helping other people, who are business owners. I kind of operate in that nexus of business strategy, ADHD support, and just lived experience.
Wow. I am sure the longer version of that story could probably fill a book somewhere if it hasn't.
Oh, yeah. I'm constantly trying to cut it down.
Understood. I have similar issues. And how long do you want the origin story? 5 minutes or 5 hours? All right. So how do we as entrepreneurs, how do we know? What if we haven't been, we were talking earlier, what if we haven't been officially diagnosed? What are some of the warning signs? What are some of the symptoms to make us think, hey, maybe this isn't just me?
Yeah. Well, one of them is honestly that you're an entrepreneur. When we look at the research, a lot of, it's like, if you have ADHD, you're 50% more likely to try and start a business. This is a really common space. It's one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about working with entrepreneurs. And so that's a big one. The other one is, you struggle with all the typical things you might have heard, struggling with your memory, struggling with impulsiveness, shiny object syndrome, all of that kind of stuff. But it's not just on Friday afternoons when you're tired. It also happens on Monday mornings, on the weekend. It's happening across time, both in terms of, different categories of your life and also when you were younger and also now.
I think you just described a whole lot of people listening to this or watching this. That's fascinating. So entrepreneurs are way more. Why would we be more likely to start a business if we had ADHD?
So one of the reasons is because ADHD has strengths and people don't realize that. It's not superpower, but it has strengths. You've got the creative thinking, the original thinking, the problem solving, the propensity to have new and original ideas and be able to execute on them. That makes you a good entrepreneur. You can think on your feet, you can move fast. You're not, as likely to sit around and want to check all the data, which can be good. But it comes with its weaknesses as well. And so for a lot of people, they can end up in that startup burnout cycle where you start something, you get to the messy middle, you burn out, you go, oh, it's probably not the right thing, you do it again. And that is what I'm so passionate about, helping people overcome.
Awesome. So What are some of the most common misconceptions that you run into when we're talking about entrepreneurial ADHD?
I think the biggest one is that people think it's okay, cool, you're going to give me something that's going to make me just be able to handle everything in the exact same system that I was taught, the one that everyone else is doing. I need to like just, try harder. People come in, they kind of go like, I'm ready, just yell at me until it works. And that's not what we do. We adjust the systems to fit with your brain so everything feels good and your revenue goes up, your metrics go up, your team is way happier.
Wow. Okay, so that all sounds good. So it's not a instant quick fix. The misconception is you're just going to give me a pill and I'm just going to be different.
I don't hand out those pills and go see a psychiatrist if you want that. And it's a whole journey if you do. But what I do is I would say usually I help people with focus. I help them get focused personally. I help their team get focused. I help their business get focused for growth. And usually, the first step of that, it will take about 2 weeks for you to implement, and then we build momentum from there.
That is absolutely incredible. So you alluded to some of the benefits.
hmm
Tell me a little bit. So you're not prescribing a magic pill. Tell me a little bit about how the process works. I don't want any secret
Yeah.
sauce, but just give me an idea.
Oh, I'll give you the secret sauce. In fact, you can just DM me on Instagram at Unconventional Organization. You can message me Shark, and I will give you the focus formula to help you get started. So basically, the first thing we want to know is, okay, are you in a position where you're overwhelmed, everything's on fire, you don't even know where to start? I've heard that a lot from entrepreneurs. If that's the case, we want to help you break it down. We want to help you understand, okay, let's go through, let's write down everything that's in your head. What is truly urgent that you have to do today? And I mean, if you were in a waiting room and you needed to, talk about tomorrow, hey, I'm not going to make it, like, who would you be texting? Who would you be DMing? And then from there, we go, okay, now we know what's urgent for today. What is your 80/20? What are the 2 or 3 things that are really going to drive your business forward? Let's go find those super boring things that are going to really help that you don't want to do. That's usually what we're looking for. And from there, people come in and they go, okay, cool. Well, now I know what to do, but I don't want to do it. And that's where we talk about how to step into focus, which is something I've taught for 5 years now, using research around how our brains work, dopamine deprivation theory. We talk about rewarding yourself at the start of the task, breaking it down, writing down what the steps are, opening the application. We have a process that you go through. And I've seen people go from this used to take me hours, I used to put it off, I used to dread it, to I block it in an hour, takes me 15 minutes to get in the zone, I get it done. And that's the first layer, I would say, which is getting you focused. And then we start to look at your team and go, okay, how do we bring in and help you have oversight over your business in a way that's not going to be overwhelming? You're not going to be like, well, just get this and then have a checklist and then blah, blah, blah. It's going to be simple, quick, and effective. And that's what we do.
Okay, so this sounds way more involved and different than, say, just some other time management system. Talk about the difference.
The difference is everything I do is based on research. So I'm writing a book at the moment. I have to dig up a ton of references. Everything is backed up by research. So this is not, I think I really want to be clear here. This is not just my tips, oh, this worked for me. Here's some tips. Hope it works for you. This is something that I've researched why this happens. I have tested it on myself. I do use it. And then I've tested it with, hundreds of entrepreneurs over time as well. So when it comes to you, it's in a form where everybody is different, but I kind of know how your brain works. So we're going to work through some systems here.
Awesome. And then you mentioned bringing in the team. I'm going to presume that the team isn't also, you know, having the same ADHD issues. How does that work? Because this seems to me like it goes way beyond just simply helping me focus better.
Yes, yes. If helping you focus better was all that we did, then, we could just work with professionals and that would be great. But you're a business owner. I assume you want to make, 7, 8 figures. So we need to work through your team. This is as tricky as working on yourself. People don't really know this, but you are an interesting person, and people probably talk about you behind your back in the team. And I've had so many people say, "Oh, I have ADHD, but I have some systems. It's totally fine." And then their team is coming up behind them, basically like, "He's not okay. Please help." And so that's what I do. So the first thing we'll do is we'll actually build out an SOP pipeline. A lot of times people don't have visuals on their business. When we talk about this stuff, we're thinking you're time blind, you're visually blind. You don't actually know what's happening. You're vacillating between micromanaging and forgetting this person's on your team. So we're going to build a pipeline of going, okay, where are you getting acquisition? Oh, okay. So 5 different places. Let's find the one that's really working. Let's remove some of the shiny stuff and then go in and say, okay, what is really driving revenue and who is responsible for that? And build you a visual thing. We do it in Miro or another space where you can, at a glance, jump in. You can see who's doing what, who's responsible, double click on their SOP so you don't have to look through a really boring book, and you can see is it red, orange, or green. That pipeline for a lot of people is the first time they feel a sense of calm where they actually feel like they have some understanding of their business and their team can use it as well.
That sounds awesome. Can you talk a little bit? Now I'm just wondering, do you ever have a team that brings you in and says, can we hire you to help our CEO?
I've definitely had people talk to me about their CEO. I have a lot of people, or they'll say, "Oh, well, I remember, I wish you were here when I had this particular person." So, yeah, I work with high-level executives and entrepreneurs. So sometimes the high-level executives, we talk about the entrepreneurs as well.
Understood. You have had over 250,000 people read your articles. Um,
hmm
what's your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge is consistency. I think that's the biggest challenge for anybody with ADHD. Once you get the system going, it's staying consistent in the system. And I have a lot of strategies that I teach for going, cool, it's working. How do we not self-sabotage this? How do we help you get your dopamine from something that's not the business so that we keep the business working well and you're adding just enough spice to keep it interesting, to keep it inventive, but you're not throwing everything out every 6 months.
Okay, we got to unpack that. Okay, so when you said get dopamine from someplace other than the business, please tell me more.
Yeah. So basically, what I mean by that is when you first start the business, like this is your baby. You are 100% hyper focused, 24 hours often. You're driving people nuts. But when you're in that space, you go through that messy middle, you work it out, and it's amazing. You come to the other side, you have a team, you have meetings and a cadence and a whole thing. Now you're in a space where you're going, okay, cool, but like I'm not getting that big rush when a sale comes through. I'm looking at metrics. This can be a dangerous place for an entrepreneur to be in because you've got a couple of options. You can take your eye off this business. You obviously you can sell it. We'll keep that separate. But if you're going to stay in the business, you could take your eye off the business and you could go and start another one, which you might not be at a point yet where this is an option for you. So if you have to stay in the business, you have to stay focused, but you can't just keep throwing like, it's fine, we'll break stuff and we'll make it happen because you did that. Then we need to talk about, okay, what is the, high energy activity that you can do? And I make entrepreneurs put it in their calendar the same way that they put their meetings in it, that we can do that's going to keep you engaged. People will do everything. I've seen people do snowboarding. I've seen people do competitive pageants, like all kinds of different things that fit with them. But at that point, we usually need to find you something else that's going to supplement your ADHD because that you're always ADHD all the time.
That is fascinating. What about the flip side? Can you help me make my business more boring?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely do that. I think a lot of people want that. We want the clarity, we want the confidence that our business is working, but we also thrive in chaos. So we're always kind of in that push-pull, and building that system is one of the reasons why I do it. I mean, my program's called Focus Balanced Growth. We want the focus and the balance and the growth. We want it all.
Awesome. Well, we know your time is incredibly valuable. We greatly appreciate you spending some fascinating time with us. For our entrepreneurs who want to learn more, where is the best place for them to go to learn more about all things Skye and your company?
Yeah, so you can find me at unconventionalorganization.com. You can find me if you're on Instagram at Unconventional Organization. You can actually find me there if you search Z or S because I've got both. And you can just DM me. DM me Shark. I'll send you the focus formula. If you want to listen to my podcast, it's called the ADHD Skills Lab. And if you want to apply to work in my program, we go through all of these systems alongside other executives and entrepreneurs who are on the same journey.
Awesome. Thank you so much for spending time with us. This has been Seth Greene with Skye Waterson of Unconventional Organization. Skye, thanks again for joining us.
No, thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening. We'll talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.